The Zephyrian High Command had dealt with countless species across their galactic empire. They understood fear, understood submission, understood the breaking point of every sentient race they had encountered. What they didn't understand was Marcus Chen, the human sitting cross-legged in Cell Block 7, humming an old Earth tune while examining a moldy piece of bread. Commander Vextal's four eyes narrowed as he observed the human through the reinforced viewing port. 3 standard cycles had passed since they'd reduced the prisoner's rations to starvation levels, a psychological tactic that had broken the will of even the most stubborn Andromedan rebels. Yet the human appeared content. Status report, Vextal clicked in the harsh consonants of his native tongue. Guard technician Colmet consulted his datapad with nervous efficiency. Sir, the human's caloric intake has been reduced by 78%. Water limited to survival minimums. The cell environment remains standard. Artificial lighting, temperature-controlled, waste disposal functional. And his behavior? Unchanged, sir. He continues to sing, and he's been collecting things. Vextal's mandibles twitched with annoyance. The human was supposed to be begging for mercy by now, ready to divulge the location of the human fleet's hidden supply depots. Instead, Marcus Chen had spent the morning carefully separating seeds from the cores of his meager fruit rations, laying them out in neat rows along the cell's window ledge. What the Zephyrians couldn't comprehend was that they had imprisoned perhaps the worst possible human for their purposes. Dr. Marcus Chen, formerly of the Terra Agricultural Institute, holder of 3 doctorates in botany, soil science, and sustainable farming systems. A man who had spent his life coaxing life from the most unlikely places. Marcus examined the bread mold under the cell's artificial light, noting its color and texture. Rhizopus stolonifer, most likely. Common bread mold. Not ideal, but workable. He'd already identified the nutrient paste as containing processed algae proteins and synthetic vitamins. The fruit cores yielded promising seeds, possibly engineered variants of Earth citrus. On day 4, Marcus began his first experiment. Using water carefully saved from his daily rations, he created a small growing medium from shredded paper towels, salvaged from the waste disposal unit. Crumbs from his bread rations and his own composted waste. The Zephyrians watched in bewilderment as their prisoner methodically prepared what appeared to be soil. "What is he doing?" Vextal demanded. Colmet's translator struggled with the concept. "Sir, our xenobiologists believe he is attempting to grow food. The word doesn't translate well. He appears to be cultivating plant life in his cell." Impossible. The cell contains no growing medium, no nutrients beyond his rations. But Marcus was just getting started. He had noticed that the cell's artificial lighting followed a predictable cycle. 12 hours on, 12 hours off. Perfect for plant growth if he could manipulate it correctly. Using the reflective surface of his water cup, he began concentrating light onto specific areas of his makeshift growing medium. By day 6, the first green shoots appeared. The sight sent ripples of confusion through the Zephyrian command structure. Their prisoner was somehow creating food from nothing, violating their understanding of basic resource management. Emergency meetings were called. Xenobiologists were consulted. The impossible was happening in Cell Block 7. Marcus, meanwhile, was entering what he privately called the zone, the same focused state he'd achieved during his graduate work on Mars terraforming projects. Every scrap of organic matter became precious. He composted carefully, managed water with the precision of a master engineer, and nursed his tiny plants with the devotion of a parent. The citrus seeds sprouted next, their tiny leaves reaching toward his improvised light reflectors. He fashioned a watering system from torn fabric, creating capillary action to distribute water evenly. The bread mold, rather than being a nuisance, became part of his composting system, breaking down organic matter into useful nutrients. By day 10, Marcus was supplementing his dwindling rations with his first harvest. Tiny microgreens that provided essential vitamins his captors were denying him. Commander Vextal stood before the cell door, his 4 eyes wide with what humans might have recognized as awe. The sterile prison cell had been transformed into something that defied Zephyrian understanding. A garden. Tiny plants grew from every available surface. Improvised trellises made from torn bedding supported climbing seedlings. The air recycling vents had been partially blocked to create microclimates of varying humidity. How was all Vextal could manage? Marcus looked up from where he was carefully pollinating a flowering plant with a fiber from his shirt. "Oh, hello there. I was wondering when you'd come by. Would you like to know about companion planting? It's fascinating how different species can support each other's growth." The human had not just survived their starvation tactics, he had created abundance from scarcity. In 3 weeks, what had been a barren cell designed to break his spirit had become a thriving ecosystem. But the true horror for the Zephyrians came when they realized the implications. Marcus had effectively demonstrated that a single human could create a sustainable food system from virtually nothing. If one human could do this in a prison cell, what could thousands do on a hostile planet? What could millions accomplish with actual resources? The interrogation that followed was unlike any in Zephyrian history. Instead of broken confession, they found themselves listening to enthusiastic lectures on soil pH balance, nitrogen fixation, and the crucial role of mycorrhizal fungi in plant health. Marcus had turned his imprisonment into a masterclass in agricultural innovation. When the prisoner exchange finally occurred, the Zephyrians were suddenly very eager to trade Marcus for their own captured personnel. He left behind something that would haunt their empire's strategic planners for generations. As the cell was cleaned and prepared for the next prisoner, Colmet made a discovery that he immediately reported to his superiors. Hidden behind the makeshift trellises, Marcus had carved a message into the cell wall. "Gardens are just controlled explosions of life. Thanks for the challenge, MC." The Zephyrian High Command issued new protocols that day. Human prisoners were to be kept in maximum security, given full rations, and under no circumstances were they to be provided with anything that could be used to grow food. They had learned far too late that trying to starve a human was like trying to extinguish a star with a cup of water. Given enough time and determination, humans didn't just adapt to impossible conditions, they transformed them into opportunities. In the vast database of Zephyrian military intelligence, Dr. Marcus Chen's file was updated with a single-word classification that struck fear into the hearts of their strategic command: agriculturalist. And across the galaxy, other human prisoners began receiving mysterious gifts from their guards. Extra fruit with the seeds still intact, moldy bread that was accidentally not disposed of properly, and just a little more water than regulation technically required. The revolution, it seemed, would be grown.